Joining us right now, kind of give us some time here on San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090 and the Corky's Hotline, is San Diego State assistant coach Tim Shelton. Tim, I know it was a tough week, so I appreciate you coming and joining us on the radio this morning. How you doing?
I'm good. Good morning. No problem at all. Thank you guys for having me.
Good morning, Tim. You know, one of the things we were just talking about was the fact that, to us at least, it looks like something that the Aztecs are missing this year is a Tim Shelton type, a guy who's, moving around with energy on defense, taking charges, making a difference on that end of the floor. But, we're just fans. We're just watching it from television and the sidelines. What's your opinion of what the Aztecs are missing and what's kind of gone wrong lately for the team?
You could actually, you could say that, and I believe that, that is part of, what every team kind of needs a little bit. And when you look at the last few teams that have played us, those teams have done a good job drawing charges on us and things of that nature. And, we've preached to our guys the importance of it, and we have a couple guys that'll do it. I think, we also had a few calls missed in terms of this charge block call, but you can't do anything about that. In terms of, a charge guy, you could have one, you couldn't have one. It's just about guys going out there playing, as hard as they can, as long as they can, and with their skill set within who they are.
Tim, you see a couple of guys who will do it. Isn't that something that every defensive player should be able to do, to have in the repertoire? If you play good defense and you're in a position to take that charge, that's something you just do as a basketball player, correct?
Yeah, it naturally kind of happens here and there. Again, it's not in everyone's nature, and when you think back to it, especially when you talked about a guy like myself, do you remember anybody else on the team really taking them? And a couple guys did, but most of them didn't.
Tim,
people find ways to affect games, in their best kind of mold. So that just kind of is what it is at some point.
Tim, I was really excited, watching the game on Saturday, and the first half, 35-35. I thought you guys played as well as I've seen in a while, especially against one of the top teams in the conference. And I'm thinking, okay, Nevada has a really short bench. You guys are deep. I'm thinking the second half, this should play right into your hands. And then it just kind of all fell apart. What happened in the second half of that game on Saturday?
Yeah, second half of the game, we gave up a lot of easy baskets in transition, unfortunately, and they capitalized and made threes. They showed why they're the best team in the league right now and why they're a ranked team. They protected home serve, and they went on one of those runs. Unfortunately, we had a couple slip ups in transition, and then combine that with a couple silly turnovers, and there you go. There's a run that's hard to come back from, especially on the road.
Tim, when you give up a couple of easy baskets, that's going to happen to any team. When you give up that many easy baskets, I think it becomes a bit more stark and standing out. So I'll ask you point blank, is this team tough enough, and is this team motivated enough to be good in the Mountain West Conference?
To be good in what? I'm sorry.
To be good in the Mountain West Conference. Can this team be a good basketball team? Do they have the toughness to win? Do they have the motivation to win? Because it looks like when a game starts to get out of hand, it looks like the guys on the court start to fold and start to just kind of get the game over with and not try and come back and win it.
I do believe they are. I do believe they're tough enough to be good in the Mountain West Conference. Obviously, the day after we played Gonzaga, no one would ask me that question. Man, we're a tough team. We just beat a ranked opponent. So obviously some things have changed. We lost close games down the stretch after that, and then we had a couple of second halves that we'd like to take back, but we can't. So all we can do right now is go back to work today. And I think our guys, to their credit, have really said the right things and done the right things in practice, and trying to get better and coming together instead of branching apart. And then trying to do the right things to help prepare ourselves to win the next game and win the next game and win the next game and still be our best selves come March.
Talking to Aztecs assistant hoops coach Tim Shelton with us on the Corky's Hotline on San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090.
Tim, you just mentioned the Gonzaga game and being able to duplicate that. Certainly you can't duplicate the result every game in and game out, but in terms of effort and style of play, you guys haven't been able to do that consistently. Why is that?
Style of play-wise, I still feel like we've been fairly consistent. Obviously we're averaging around 10 more points a game this year than last year. Defensively, we've tried to change things up to mix up tempos and to get teams off rhythm and things of that nature. But again, you don't want to blame things on injury here and there, but we haven't had all of our guys available for every single game, and I think we're still developing a little bit of chemistry in that sense. But I think our guys, they know that, man, we can't do this we can't do that. You know, we got to make sure we're spacing the floor. We got to make sure we're running on both ends and getting to our spots and doing the right things, because all those little things just make a big, big difference.
Well, with that being said, Tim, I mean, is there a chance that Trey Kell is coming back this week? How is he doing in his rehab from the latest? I think it was ankle was the latest injury. It's been a lot of them, though.
He's looked pretty good in his rehab stuff. He's still yet to practice. But, you know, he's done a lot of things with our trainer, Sdsu, who's got him looking good. You know, he's doing certain things with band work. You know, he's doing certain mobility movements that are similar to basketball movements, things like closeouts and sliding his feet, and, you know, changing directions and then, you know, changing his momentum and slowing himself down. And he's looked good. He says he feels better, so we'll see. I believe he'll probably try and give it a go this week, and in some way or another, we've got to start with practice, though, and then we'll see how the game goes.
Tim, the talent level on this team is certainly there. Can you have one of those runs where all of a sudden everything clicks? And we all have to look to the Mountain West Conference tournament now, because that is the only ticket to the NCAA tournament. Is this a team that can all of a sudden have everyone get on the same page and let the talent simply take over and go on a run to win the Mountain West Conference tournament?
I do believe so. You know, if I'm the other teams in our league, and, you know, come Mountain West Conference tournament time, I don't want to see San Diego State. Knowing the type of talent we have, knowing the things we're capable of, you know, knowing what it looks like in certain stretches when we are playing, you know, a really good brand of basketball, how we want to play. So I definitely believe that, but it's all about what type of work we put in from this point until then.
Tim, there's been a huge discrepancy home and road as well this season, and that's not uncommon in college basketball, but, 9-2 at Viejas Arena, and then 8 of your losses away from home. What's the difference between this team other than just having the fans behind you?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think that home energy does make a difference. You know, we definitely, you know, feel that at home. We love when the crowd is packed and the people are for us. You know, when you're on the road, again, all those little things come to light even more, and you got to make sure, you know, everyone's on the same page and everybody's continuing to play through, you know, made shot, missed shot, bad call, things of that nature. And other teams go and run and feel their home energy as well, and they've done that so far this year.
So with home games coming up, and Derek mentioned the Mountain West Conference tournament, how critical do you think it is from your coaching perspective that you guys somehow climb your way into at least 5th place so you don't have to play a 4th game in Las Vegas in March?
I mean, I think it's, you know, ultimately important for the large picture, but, you know, I'm starting with Wednesday. You know, I'm starting with Wyoming. Let's win the next game, point blank period. Let's come to work today. You know, let's get our minds right. Let's make shots today. Let's execute our game plan today. Let's execute, you know, communication today. And let's take today. Let's win today. Let's win today's practice, and then let's worry about Wednesday.
Does momentum play anything in college basketball? If you guys can get a couple of those wins at Viejas, if you can start to feel like you guys can get back to the top of the mountain, does that mean something in college basketball? I know someone like, you know, Phillip Rivers in the NFL said it's tough to get momentum, but can that be a thing when you're talking about, you know, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids?
No question. I mean, I've seen it in person when we played UConn in the Sweet 16 with that first Sweet 16 team. Those guys were on a roll and had a lot of momentum going, and it started, you know, with the end of their regular season into their conference tournament, and they weren't expected to be that good, and they rolled all the way to the national championship. So momentum can definitely swing, and things can start to click, and guys can start to figure it out. You know, we have, you know, quite the young cast, you know, with our freshmen, and I feel like they've pushed through, you know, what a lot of freshmen end up getting frustrated with, or with what a lot of freshmen see as challenging in terms of a little bit of fatigue, a little more challenging mentally. You know, in high school you can kind of take certain games off. You might get 10 to 15 games where the teams just are no good. But in college, you can't do that. Every single night you got to bring it. Every single practice you've got to bring it. You know, there's more demanded of you as a freshman who's starting. So, you know, hats off to our freshmen. And I think they can even take a next step, you know, going into this final stretch.
Bottom line, Tim, and I give you props. You've been a stand-up guy after a tough week for coming on this morning, and I do appreciate it. And you know, I love Dutch. I think he's great. He's been an asset to this program for a long time. Has there been a drop-off with Steve Fisher leaving? Did that hurt the program with Coach Fish's retirement and, you know, in this transition period as Dutch is getting his sea legs under him as a first-year head coach?
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, obviously, you know, Dutch has been here for 2 decades. The culture hasn't changed. You know, obviously, Coach Velasquez has been here. Justin Hudson has been here. I've been here. And it's been one of those things where, last year's team had its struggles. This year's team is having its struggles, but there's been no drop-offs, in my opinion, at all.
Fair enough, Coach. Really appreciate it. As I said, stand up to come on after a tough week like that. It's easy to do an interview when you guys are on a 4 or 5 game winning streak. It's harder to do it after a couple of losses on the road. So I appreciate your time, Coach, and good luck this week, Wednesday night against Wyoming, and hopefully this team can get on a roll.
I appreciate you guys having me. It's been my pleasure, and I'm excited to get back to work today.
All right, Tim Shelton,
Thanks, Coach.
San Diego State assistant basketball coach.